Hello and very good morning to all of our viewers. This is WION Wallet. I'm Sumit Chaturvedi. Let's see what is making headlines in the world of business this morning. German car maker Audi may have to forfeit its profit as part of penalty in diesel emission scandal in Germany. Cryptocurrency Bitcoin surges above $3,000 to reach a new all-time high over the weekend, less than a week after a split that worried some investors. SUVs and high-end cars in India are likely to become costlier as Goods and Services Tax Council is said to have decided to raise the cess on luxury autos to 25% from 15%. And customers of small saving deposits suffer in India as banks cut down interest rates. Let's start with top global story. British consumer spending fell for the third month in a row in July in its longest losing streak in over 4 years, according to data released in another sign that the impact of last year's Brexit vote is rippling through to households. Overall consumer spending, the engine of British economy, dropped by 0.8% in real terms last month compared with July 2016. Payments company Visa said that was quicker than June's 0.2% fall, and following a further drop in May, it marks the longest consecutive decline since February 2013, when a still frail economy was struggling to recover from the financial crisis. Last week, the Bank of England downgraded its forecast for economic growth this year and next due to partly slower than expected wage rises, and it sees a weaker outlook for household spending than for other sectors of the economy. Visa's data chimed with other signs that households are under financial pressure, from lackluster retail sales to falling new car registrations and mortgage approvals. A fall in the value of sterling since the Brexit vote in June last year has stoked inflation at a time when wage growth is slowing. Squeezing incomes, consumer confidence dropped to a one-year low in July. Staying with Britain, where news coming from Brexit, Britain is prepared to pay up to $47 billion as part of a deal to leave the European Union. The Sunday Telegraph reported that the European Union has floated a figure of $67 billion and wants significant progress on settling Britain's liabilities before talks can start on complex issues such as future trading arrangements. Reports also said British officials were likely to offer to pay $17 billion a year for 3 years after leaving the EU in March 2019, then finalize the total alongside detailed trade talks. Payments would only be made as part of a deal that included a trade agreement. David Davis, the British minister in charge of Brexit talks, said on July 20 that Britain would honour its obligations to the EU, but declined to confirm that Brexit would require net payments. Last week, the Bank of England said Brexit uncertainty was weighing on the economy. Finance Minister Philip Hammond wants to avoid unsettling businesses further. Let's talk about cryptocurrency Bitcoin, which is in news nowadays. It has hit a record high. Bitcoin surged above $3,000 to reach a new all-time high over the weekend, less than a week after a split that worried some investors. Bitcoin peaked on Saturday at a record $3,360, according to Coindesk.com. By Sunday, the cryptocurrency had settled down to $3,286.87 with a market cap of $53.4 billion. According to CoinMarketCap.com, Saturday marked the first time Bitcoin surpassed $50 billion in market cap. Prices have jumped more than 10% in the past week after Bitcoin on Tuesday launched a new version of its currency with a different configuration known as Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin prices initially fell more than 5% as the new currency confused markets, but quickly recovered despite its volatility. Bitcoin has more than tripled its value this year, crossing $2,000 threshold in May and hitting $3,000 for the first time in June, before crashing back to earth and shedding about 20% of its value before continuing its meteoric gains. Competing digital currency Ethereum has tagged along for the weekend rally, surging 12% on Saturday. While Bitcoin has surged to an all-time high, cryptocurrency Bitcoin has zoomed past $3,200 for the first time in history. That's the future it shows for the digital or cryptocurrency. Bitcoin traded at over 2 lakh per coin in India. India also, it touched a record high and it was trading at 2 lakh per coin. Baby brother Bcash struggles to hold above $200. Bcash was carved out of Bitcoin. Now it's struggling, but the CoinDesk has put the price of Bitcoin at $3,242. That was the peak price of the cryptocurrency. And Bitcoin touched levels over 3,000 in June. That was the last high cryptocurrency Bitcoin touched. But on Saturday, it broke all records. The market cap of Bitcoin is now $50 billion. The price of Bitcoin fell below $2,000 owing to uncertainty earlier. Staying with the global news and going over to Germany, where Munich prosecutors are investigating Audi employees for fraud, and Audi might have to forfeit its profit as penalty for Dieselgate scandal. The German rules allow the seizure of profits made from illegal conduct. Audi may meet the same fate. Another firm, Siemens, which is a German firm, had faced the same type of review during a corruption probe about a decade ago. It settled with Munich prosecutors for $706 million fine. Audi was notified about the step and will continue to work constructively with prosecutors, Audi said. Audi parent Volkswagen is already facing the same type of review by prosecutors who are investigating whether the Wolfsburg-based car maker committed fraud by installing computer software that only turn on vehicles polluting, blocking equipment during emission testing. Volkswagen admitted in September 2015 that about 11 million diesel vehicles worldwide were sold with so-called defeat devices. The carmaker attempted to boost sales by offering clean diesel that would meet heightened emission standards and attract environmentally conscious customers. The company could not sell vehicles in the US without certifying they met the emission standards. And Audi is running a risk of, we can say that prosecutors are now planning to put a penalty on Audi, and Audi might have to let go of its profit as penalty. Audi is facing charges in Germany. The prosecutors are probing Audi employees as part of bigger scandal that broke in 2015 when Volkswagen, the parent company of Audi in US, it admitted that it was using defeat devices. Defeat devices were clearly putting on the emission control software when the cars were being tested, but when they came on road, they were being put off, thereby polluting the atmosphere around 400 more times. So Audi might have to let go of its profit. Moving on, and Apple is now planning to release a version of its smartwatch later this year that can connect directly to cellular networks. Bloomberg reported, citing people familiar with the matter. Some of the new models for the Apple Watch will be equipped with LTE chips and be able to perform many tasks without needing an iPhone to be in range. Currently, the Apple Watch needs to be connected to an iPhone to send messages, get directions from maps, and stream music. Intel will supply the LTE modems for the new watch. According to reports, the iPhone maker is already in talks with carriers in the US and Europe about offering the cellular version of the Apple Watch. And staying with the global news and coming to Tesla, electric car maker Tesla has lowered the base price of its Model X SUV to $79,500. Many of you who want to buy, they can really buy now. Tesla also said improving margins were behind the move. The margins have improved as it is ramping up production of its new lower-end priced Model 3. Some analysts have been concerned that the launch of Model 3, whose base price is $35,000, would steer some potential buyers away from Model X SUV, that is called cannibalization, to that lower price sedan. But CEO Elon Musk said that demand had not waned for the luxury electric sports utility vehicle Model X. The most expensive version of Model X, the P100D with fastest acceleration and longer range, cost $145,000. Musk said on a call with analysts earlier this week that the launch of Model 3 had not cannibalized Model X sales and the demand for Model X as well as Model S had actually increased with the release of the lower-priced vehicle. The Model 3, marketed as a car for the masses, begins at $35,000 and before incentives, but a longer-range version is priced at $44,000 to compete with high-volume luxury sedans such as Audi A4, BMW 3 Series or Mercedes C-Class. So Tesla is clearly making its cars more and more affordable. Now Model 3 will become more and more affordable, and there were fears that this could cannibalize the sales of Model X SUV. But CEO Elon Musk has said it will not happen, and Model 3 and Model X SUV will be overall positioned at different ends of the market. So Tesla has a new sales strategy, and we just told you about that. Moving on, now coming to Google. And Alphabet's Google is developing a technology that media companies could use to create stories similar to those found on Snapchat's Discover platform. Google's project, dubbed STEMP, is in the early stages of testing with publishers. Tech firms including Google, Snapchat owner Snap and Facebook are racing to develop publishing tools for media companies, hoping to fill their own apps with news, entertainment, sports and other content. The challenge for such tools is making them faster and easier to use than a web browser. While creating an interesting experience for users, Snapchat's Discover tab is distinct in the way it integrates video clips with text and photos, allowing users to skip to a news story or advertisement with the touch of a finger. Google has been in discussions with several publishers, including Vox Media, Time Warner, CNN, The Washington Post, and Time, to participate in the project. And coming over to India's news now, Tata Communications, the provider of telecommunications solutions and services in India, will hire 400 people and invest $50 million in its cyber security services business in the next 3 years. As companies look to combat the rise in cybercrime and data theft in India, Tata Communications will get a hold of that market. Tata Communications has put software, appliances, hardware together to make a solution for enterprises to protect their information from cybersecurity risks. Its managed security division currently, and it accounts for less than 10% of the revenue, but is growing at more than 50% a year. The company expects revenue contribution from the division to be in the double digits by 2020. Indian market is about $200 million as far as the cybersecurity is concerned. It comprises hardware and software application. What is the global market of $130 billion? Tata Communications will be investing in building capability in risk and compliance, cloud security, identity and access management, analytics to predict cyber attacks, and network and infrastructure security. 80% of 400 new hires will be based in India, while the rest will help the company expand its geographic footprint in the Middle East, Singapore, US and UK. At present, the company has about a workforce of 100 cybersecurity experts in the divisions currently. So Tata Communications is going on expansion as far as cybersecurity is concerned. It's going to hire 400 more people to combat cybercrime and data theft. Tata Communications will invest $50 million in cybersecurity services in India. It's a growing market over here. And Indian cybersecurity market is worth $200 million at present and is going to grow by leaps and bounds. And to get a share of that market, Tata is expanding its footprint. 80% of 400 new hires will be based in India. Rest will be abroad in major markets of Tata Communications. Well, Tata Communications has 100 cybersecurity experts now, and the number will increase now by 300 more numbers. And let's talk about the pain which small saving bank account holders are suffering in India at a time when banks are flooded with surplus liquidity post cash ban last year and margins get squeezed and credit growth continues plunging. More Indian banks are likely to slash interest rates on saving bank accounts following State Bank of India and Bank of Baroda that took these steps last week. As of now, State Bank of India, the largest bank in India, has slashed interest rates on saving bank accounts with balance below rupees 1 crore to the lowest in 6 years. Bank of Baroda, another major bank in India, has cut it to the same 3.5% for accounts with balances up to 50 lakh. State Bank of India's move has been hailed as bold by analysts. However, while this will benefit retail borrowers in agriculture, small and medium enterprises and affordable housing, it will take a big bite from the earnings of small savers. About 90% of State Bank of India's depositors have deposits less than rupees 1 crore. According to bank, this category consists of customers who are retired or other low-income sections with little appetite for higher risk, high return financial instruments. This section preferred saving bank accounts because they do not have the capacity to play with options that provide better returns such as equity investments, fixed deposits or even mutual funds. In fact, there is also a high possibility that one-year deposit rates could also soften going forward, a bad news for saving bank account holders in India. And another bad news for India customers who are planning to buy a SUV or high-end luxury cars. If you're planning to buy an SUV or high-end luxury car, then it is the time to purchase it quickly, as Goods and Services Tax Council in India is said to have decided to raise the cess on luxury autos to 25% from 15%. However, the rates may not be increased immediately as it will require an amendment to GST compensation law. SUVs and top-end luxury cars are expected to cost more, with states and centres seeking to increase the cess on these vehicles to correct a so-called anomaly that crept in when goods and services tax rates were decided. So the plan of government is to increase the cess from 15% to 25%. Currently, the levy on these vehicles, including 28% GST, adds up to 43%, which will rise to 53% once the law is amended. With this, it is time for a short break on WION Wallet. After the break, we will continue with a coverage of markets and more news for you. Stay tuned to WION. Well, thanks for staying with us, and over to our market segment where Indian equity market benchmarks have opened moderately today, with the Nifty inching towards 10,100 level, while 30-share BSE Sensex was up 51 points earlier at 32,377. As we speak now, we can say that the Nifty is still in 10,100 range, and Sensex is up by 17 points at 32,342. The 50-share Nifty earlier gained 14 points at 10,080. So let's talk about the markets with our expert for today, Mustafa Nadeem. Good morning to Mr. Nadeem. I would like to ask you, first of all, how do you see the trade happening today and what will be the big factors to be looked out for?
See, I think the trade would be range bound today, and the Friday rally which we have seen was just a short covering rally and no fresh buying was there. So I think the market would range bound today with a level of 10,100, 10,150 on a higher zone, and we will see support at 9980 levels. So there would be much happening at higher levels, and as such, there are no big data today which would take markets to higher level today.
One big factor, Mr. Nadeem, is the corporate results season. So today, this week also some big corporate announcements, results season announcements could come. So what is your take on that, and what are the other factors to be looked out for as far as Indian markets are concerned?
See, as far as corporate earnings are concerned, it would not disappoint market like in the past. We have seen there are some good results, better than expected results which have been coming, and this corporate earnings would give guidance for next quarter also. So I think overall on the earning part the thing would be positive, but as such there are no big data globally which would give a new direction to market, and we have to wait for to see how the market takes into account the corporate earning and moves ahead.
And about the global market, one last question to you would be, what is happening over there? What are the big factors to be watched out for global markets is concerned?
See, globally, the kind of job data, the non-farm payroll data we have seen, it's all coming very strong. And the Asian markets has also seen a strong opening. So I think the same would continue going forward, and as such there are no concerns for a big correction in the market, and the earnings globally is very strong, the earnings reported by the majors. So I think this would be a big sign for market to go to make a new high. And the focus globally now is on the technology stocks which have been delivering good numbers globally. So I think the trend would continue, and we may see markets taking new high globally.
And also, Mr. Nadeem, any stock-specific recommendation you would like to give, or any sector-specific recommendation you would like to give forward viewers in India?
I think CDSL looks very good at current level, because the performance of the market is bringing more and more people to the market, and this is definitely be a plus for CDSL. So on a stock specific recommendations, I see CDSL giving a 5 to 10% return in next 3 months. So this can be on the radar of traders.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Nadeem, for getting us all these details on Monday morning. And let's move on and coming to Indian aviation space, where Indigo and Go Air, the two big airlines in India, are facing a particular problem. Many of their planes are grounded, and now the engine maker Pratt & Whitney has told the Indian government it will by September resolve technical glitches that have affected its engines and hurt operations of two Indian airlines, Go Air and Indigo. Intergroup Aviation, the owner of India's Indigo Airlines and Go Air, have been facing delays in receiving planes from Airbus due to ongoing problems with engines developed by Pratt & Whitney. Indigo had recently warned the delays were affecting its margins, and it has been forced to ground as many as 9 of its planes on certain days due to engine problems. The concern around grounding of planes affecting flight troubles and schedules was raised yesterday by India's aviation regulator in a meeting attended by executives from Pratt & Whitney, Airbus, Indigo and Go Air. The regulator, DGCA, has been investigating issues that have arisen with the Pratt & Whitney engines in Airbus A320neo narrow-body jets brought into service over the past 2 years by the two local carriers. The model accounts for only a small part of Indigo and Go Air fleets, but numbers are set to grow rapidly, with Indigo having over 400 of the jets on order and Go Air set to add over 100 aircraft. And staying with the aviation news from global markets, Singapore Airlines is offering 3 months of voluntary unpaid leave to cabin crew as it seeks to cut costs amid rising competition in the region. The carrier is asking some of its flight attendants to take the leave from September. Singapore Airlines is in the midst of a review of its businesses amid intensifying competition from Middle East airlines and budget carriers. The carrier returned to profit last quarter after posting its first loss since 2014 in the first 3 months of the year. The Singaporean carrier is not the only one that is trying to reduce staff costs. Emirates is letting go of dozens of employees, including senior cabin crew and support department workforce, as the Gulf carrier continues a push to streamline after years of rapid growth. People with the knowledge said that Cathay Pacific of Hong Kong has also said it will eliminate 600 jobs in Hong Kong as part of biggest business revamp in 2 decades, as it slipped into a loss for the first time in 8 years. Well, that's all today we have in this edition of WION Wallet. Thanks for watching us and thanks for sharing your Monday morning with us.